So the next thing to look at with OmniCenter is service checks, and service checks are the other main type of alarm that OmniCenter sends out. And these will quickly escalate to be host notifications if the host is down. But service checks are really binary. So this is up-down checking, and you'll see this in the user interface that things are generally okay, warning, or critical. And these checks can fall into two categories. They're either active or passive checks. Active checks are when OmniCenter goes out and does something, like fetching a web page and seeing if it's got the right text on it. Whereas a passive check is going to wait for something to update it. And this is something, for example, like syslog, where we're waiting for syslog to be sent to us. And when syslog comes in, if that syslog message has something in it that needs to generate an alarm, it will trip via a passive mechanism. This also works for things that are updated by other internal OmniCenter processes, like the status of interfaces, which will get updated when the interface gets tripped for bandwidth information. So like when we're pulling bandwidth data, if we find that an interface has gone down, we can update that check out of band and say, oh wait, this interface is down. We need to do something about this right away. The next thing to consider in OmniCenter is that the service checks have a retry on them. So when we're actually running through a particular service check, we might be checking that web page every few minutes. And when we get an error, it's going to go into what we call a soft state. So you're actually going to see in the user interface, sometimes you're going to drill into an alarm and you're going to see it flagged as a soft state. A soft state just means there's still some retries pending. Once those retries are completed, if it's still broken, when you reach that maximum retries, this becomes a hard state, and that's the point at which it's going to generate an incident. Incidents in OmniCenter are kind of the basis for how we take actions or send out alerts. So as soon as we get to that level of reaching a hard state, it's going to start to escalate to an incident. And the first thing it's going to do, if what it's discovered is that the service check has failed, is it's going to go and validate that the host is up. So if the host is up, it's going to ping it. And if the host is up but the service is down, this becomes a service failure. And a service failure will send out notifications based on the settings for that service monitoring. But let's just say that it doesn't reply. If it doesn't reply, it's going to time out. And when it times out, we're going to go in and check everything that's upstream of that host to try to determine where the failure actually occurred. So then when we determine that there's this device that didn't respond to the pings, the highest one in that tree that didn't respond is actually going to be the host failure. So we're going to mark that as the main alarm. And you're going to see when you look at an incident, there's a thing called a primary alarm and there's things called related alarms. So in this case, the primary alarm would be the highest host in the tree that didn't respond. And then all of these systems underneath it that are unreachable, these guys are related alarms to that same incident. So you're actually going to see in the notification goes out for the contacts on the primary alarm, not for the individual systems underneath it. So it's going to automatically suppress the children of all of those different incidents.